episode of Educational. This is Roy.
This is Terry.
So we are the podcast that are chronicling our journey through the aging process, some things that we bump up against, questions, and hopefully provide some answers. Also, some struggles that our parents are going through and some answers or, solutions that we've provided. We talk a little bit about our personal situation, but also we have guests on from time to time. Today is no different. Terry, I'm going to let you introduce Suzette.
Yeah, our guest today is author Suzette Perez-Tate. She is the creator and co-author of the children's picture book series, The Grands Modern-Day Grandparent. She is a modern-day grandparent from Southern California. She and her husband have a blended family with 5 adult children and 5 grandchildren. Many children's books highlight grandparents as a one-dimensional character in the way they look, act, and the role that they play in their grandchildren's lives. This was not a concept that was relatable to her, and it inspired her to create a children's book series that included a variety of characters and a variety of family dynamics. Along with her co-author, Anissa De La Luz, they have been able to publish 2 books in their series so far. Their hope is that families will see themselves in this series. Suzette, thank you so much for coming to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're excited. This is going to be awesome.
This will be a fun one.
So, kind of what led up to this point? I know we've talked a lot about it, but kind of tell people your journey, what brought you here, and then maybe even, the maybe through the writing process or the inspiration. I mean, the blank page is daunting and it can really haunt a lot of people.
Yes.
So, actually kind of getting through that, but talk to us about that process for a minute.
Sure. So I can talk to you a little bit about what led up to this first. So in 2017, I was a grandmother, and actually for years prior to that, but 2017 kind of sticks out in my mind. So my granddaughter was about 4 years old, and I used to tease about it, saying that, these aren't relatable, these characters in the book. So I would read a book with her, and it just didn't look like me. It didn't act like me, interact the things that we would do. I would go to Disneyland with her, and she'd wear a princess dress. Well, guess what? I would too. So,
that's awesome.
And you didn't hear stories like that. So I was kind of the fun grandma. So in 2018, I'd say about 3 months after my mom passed, my husband and I went away for the weekend, and on my way back, I just had this flood of energy about, I got to do something about this. It's, there's a void out there with children's books and when they're highlighting grandparents. And so I happened to have my laptop with me. So I grabbed that, and we had, a couple of hours still on our way back from our trip. And I'm, the energy's coming in and just flowing through. And I created a deck about the concept of what I'd like to see, whether it's with children's books, children's merchandise, dolls, and even TV shows. So a lot of this, I have a deck that I created, and then I started to socialize it. And so because what I found is that with my experience, over the years, was that I felt different, right, from the book, what I was seeing in the stories. But then when I spoke with my friends and family members that were grandparents, their story was different than mine even. So there just was so much to capture, because I felt like, wow, I'm an out-of-state grandparent. And so my interactions, are not as frequent face-to-face, right? But we're very close. But then I have a girlfriend who, she picks up her granddaughter after school every day. So she's around the corner from her, and she's involved on her daily, through just daily appearances with her. And so I started to put that, into my deck that I created. And when I socialized it, people kind of had that aha moment, like, yeah, why hasn't it been done already? Yeah. That's what you start to think.
Right. Yeah. Well, because of the, you're probably way too young to even get this reference, but there used to be an old cartoon called Tweety Bird. And in Tweety Bird, Tweety Bird's mom was the grandma, but she had the bun, the wire hair, the wire glasses.
And no teeth.
Yeah, no teeth. And then, she always wore kind of like, it's not like a gown, but it's like the grandma house coat whatever they
Yeah.
do. And so very, very stereotypical. And, that I don't mean to interrupt, but it's just something that jumps out, looking through the book is that, that character is not in this book at all.
And it's funny you say that reference of the bun, gray hair, bun on the head. And hey, look, if I let my hair go, it might be, all gray, but
Me
but
too.
that's not the reality, right?
Yeah.
That's not the reality that children are seeing. And so, in doing this, some marketing stuff that I do, I actually do wear a wig that is gray, and then I have glasses on, and I share towards the end, but today this is how I corrected it. I show them me to show the difference of what I'm, explaining here with the series and the concept. And so, as I socialized it, I then started to, towards the end of 2018, I got a little bit more serious about it, and I went ahead and looked for illustrators. I went through about 5 or 6, and I can tell you that process, it was interesting. On one of them, when I was trying to do a logo, I explained the concept, right? So this is separate than just my illustrators for the book, and I had the logo. So I explained the concept, and what I got back was the gray hair, the bun.
Right.
And I said, well, no, I don't have anyone in my book that's that I'm even envisioning in this series with the gray hair, fully like that, with the bun, with the traditional, look like that. And so I said, I need something more modern. So they responded back with me. They gave it back to me, and they just put her in a business suit.
Oh my God. Oh, that's too funny.
So with this journey, it was definitely interesting trying to explain to people, no, I'm trying to, that's what I'm, and I don't want to change that look or anything out there because that is out there. And there's stories out there where they do talk about being sick or dying, and that's needed.
Yeah.
I don't want to change it. I just want to add to it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great because I if you really look around today in this modern time, that, grandmas look more like yourself and who you portray in the book, not that person. It's, right. I don't know if I guess it's just such a different time because, in my time when I was young, that's who you saw. Very rarely did you see the young grandma, but now it's more prevalent.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. And then, so slowly as it started to, get some life as I got through with, collaborating with an illustrator. And then now I needed the writing. And so late, 2018 again, still, I actually discussed it with a family member or a friend of our family. And she had a passion for writing and wanted to work on a project like this. So we collaborated together. We started this in February of 2019. And then we got to a point where we got to publish. So we met, and this was, during, in 2019, and then last year in 2020, we continued this. So we just kind of started in 2019 and then eventually we were living probably 60 miles away. And so we kind of were already doing a lot of virtual stuff with this. Mm-hmm. So in 2020, it became, it wasn't too new for us.
Right.
So it was natural. So we did a lot of this remote. And then in June of 2020, we got to the point where, okay, we need to publish this, but how do we do this? So we had to ask people, just go around and ask those who have published. And you have kind of a couple options. You can self-publish, or you can go to an independent publisher who's kind of in the middle between self-publishing and publishing company. So they kind of show you the ropes on what to do. Yeah. And so we came with pretty much a finished product. So we did go with the middle person there, with the independent publisher. And so she helped us there with things that we needed to do, and with whether it came to marketing or just setting everything up in Amazon. When you talk about kind of how do you get the story started, right?
Right.
I know you're curious about that. We, at the beginning, I think I had so much of the concept. So now we had to collaborate on the structure. Yeah. You had to look at and I'm very green to that, any of the writing stuff. But thankfully, my co-author, she had more experience with this, and so we had to create the profiles of each of these characters, so that it made sense. Anytime we're going back to talking to different events, and then we had to go in and consider the title. I'd say that the title and the title page, I don't know why I felt like that seemed like we spent so much time there, because that's what's pulling people in, right?
Well, as a non-writer, I actually was just going through that. I have some business stuff that I publish on a blog, and so the other day I was thinking. I mean, it was like yesterday. I was thinking the same thing. It's like I spent probably 2 hours tweaking this title and trying to get it right, and all told, it probably took me 2 hours to write the whole page. But definitely,
Right.
it is a struggle, and it's so important, especially in this digital age. And then, on shelves, anything like that, it's going to be what really jumps out and talks to people.
Yeah, trying to encompass everything that you want to say in one fell swoop without really giving everything away. It's a hard thing
Exactly.
to do.
Exactly.
So the first book is The Grands, The Race.
The Grands the Race.
Okay.
Right here. And this actually, it's, being newer to, being a published author and just this arena, I will say that people are very, very interested in helping you, very, very helpful. So it's a totally different environment. I'm really enjoying it. But what was exciting for us is that, we published this on Amazon. And then later, there was, all of a sudden, we saw it on Barnes and Nobles, online. And then we saw Walmart and Target. So it kind of spread through there. So that was neat, because you leave it open on Amazon for distributors to come. If they're interested, if they find that you're book worthy enough, they'll put it on their platforms, and that's what happened. So we're so excited to see that.
That's awesome.
That really is very exciting.
And it's good to hear that people were there to support you and giving. We talk again. I do a business show, and we talk about that a lot. Is that having this circle of influencers, people that we can turn to, trust. But if we just ask, people are so willing to give of their time and their knowledge to other people, and that's why it's just like, if you feel stuck in a place, reach out. If it's geographically sensitive, you can in today's environment, you can find somebody in another town or another state that maybe not competition, and but anyway, there's enough room for all of us.
Everybody started somewhere. Everybody loves to share their stories.
Yeah. And that is what I found, is that there no egos. They weren't competitive like that. They really were. They generally wanted to see you succeed, or were just there rooting for you.
Oh, that's a great
very
feeling.
helpful. Great industry.
Yeah. So now, as you go through the book and the series, are you kind of drawing from life experiences like the race? Is this something that you enjoy doing, 10Ks thing or something like that?
So some of these are definitely, based on, or I should say inspired by, different events with either friends or people that I know. And one event that I did actually do was a charity race, and we had red shirts and red boas on.
Oh my goodness.
So, and with the Grands the Race, you actually get to learn about these 6 characters here and their interactions with their grandchildren as they're going through the race. And that was another part of what we had to try to, how do we keep this engaging instead of just telling about each different family dynamic, right?
Yeah.
So how do we keep it flowing? And so that's where I was like, well, I did a charity race before. So we talked about that. And that's how you learn about each character throughout the race, and what their interaction is. Because like I said, there's different ways that they are showing up for their families in their grandchildren's lives.
Yeah.
And how they all work together and everything. Family dynamics really play a huge part in everything. And the family, it's just it just seems to have changed so much more than, just the historically how it's been. So you became a young grandmother.
I did, yes.
I won't make you tell how old you were but you have a granddaughter now, and is she 8?
Yes, she's the 8.5. Charlotte is my granddaughter,
Okay.
and I became her grandmother at the age of 42.
My goodness.
And she was she moved to Arizona, gosh, early on, before she was even 1 year old. So I've traveled back and forth there, and thank goodness for technology. I actually work for a technology company, and so thank goodness for video chat, because that's what I get to do with her frequently, or we just call each other.
So they're still in Arizona?
Yes, they're still in Arizona. I have tried and tried to see, I keep asking, when are you coming back? I don't think it's happening.
And that seems to always be the plan, is like the grandparents always want you to come back closer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome that you're able to see her as often as you are, and with the technology, being able to share things in her life that you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, we live in a great time with the technology, for these long distance relationships. There's
really no reason now not to be able to interact.
Not to be in touch.
It's just really a miracle, because, you don't have to miss out on things with the, like I get even Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. It's like if they're doing a school play, you just can hold up the phone, and, it's not as great as being there, but it's still not as devastating as missing it.
Right. Yeah. And I get her, gosh, I feel like I have custody. I get her a week during the summer and a week in the fall.
Oh,
that's and good. It's the best 2 weeks of the year ever for us.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. And I want to point out your shirt that you're wearing. Does that has to do with the race, your book, The Race, they all had their names.
Correct. So they all are wearing a jersey with their grandma name on it that their grandchildren call them. And so I wear this and then they have a pink boa that they wear, and it's kind of fun. I did a read aloud for I work for Verizon Wireless, and I got to do a read aloud for the employees and their children. And so that was pretty fun. So I actually had my boa on with me, and getting to interact with the children on the screen as well. So it was a great time.
Yeah, and I don't think people get that you don't just pick a character and name them and that's it. I mean, you probably have to really put a lot of thought into what is the backstory of each of these different people.
Yes, and I think that's what our collaboration, why it's so good with Anissa and myself, because I have a lot of project management in my background. And so I'm very much in Excel saying, okay, here's a profile for this one, here's a profile for this one. And, thinking about all the different things, their hobbies, what they like, right. Are they the fun grandparent? Are they the, studious one? Are they, there's different ones. And when I talk about different family dynamics, I'm talking about so I'm an out-of-state one. And then you have another one that like I said, picks up the grandchild after school, and has a lot of, after daycare. That they do. And then you have another one that is their family actually lives with their grandparent. And then another one where the child lives with the grandparent that's raising them for that moment. So, but we do it in a very, a cautious way, obviously, of how we're, displaying that we want it to be very familiar to each family that, is reading these stories, and that it's either, their family dynamic or somebody they know. We want it to be familiar.
Yeah. So what is your granddaughter a critic of, what is her critique of the book?
She loves the book. She's excited. She thinks now that she's famous because she's in the book.
She is. And she is.
And she's having fun with it. Like at school, we give it to the teachers, So last year, at the end of last year, we gave it to her second grade teacher, and now going into third grade, we gave it to her teacher, and her teacher happens to be a grandmother. And so it's, she got to read it on the first week of school.
Oh, nice.
So she's enjoying it.
What an awesome gift. I know that she's very proud of you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
And how did you, so I want to talk about grandparent names, because, I told you pre-show that I am going to be a grandparent for the first time. And my first reaction was, my other daughter was like, okay, so what do you want to be called? And I said, oh, Mrs. Malazzi, because I didn't think, that I don't think I'm old enough to be a grandparent, but they come in all ages.
They really do.
And
they really do. And so with mine, how I picked, I don't, honestly, my daughter said I picked it, and I don't remember picking this because I swear I wanted Bella.
Well, I'll tell this, my mother, she was a grandmother, I guess about the same age, about 40 or 42. And she swore when she found out we were pregnant, she's like, I'm not going to be called Granny. I'm just telling you that right now. And so she came up with Gigi. Her name is Jerry, Gerry. So everybody calls her Gigi. Well, I mean, that's just stuck. And anybody that she has met, in the last 35 years, everybody calls her Gigi.
Refers to her as Gigi. I love that. Yeah, my mother was actually, to my granddaughter, she was called Gigi, her great grandma.
Okay.
So there's different. Yeah, I love hearing the stories, by the way, of how people choose theirs, and I find that anytime I'm talking about the book or about just even before it was published, just the concept of it all. If I was talking with somebody who was either going to be a grandparent or was a grandparent at the time, they immediately start sharing stories with me. It's just a joyous thing.
Yeah.
I think that, to share.
Well, my mother is called Boo Boo. I don't even remember how that came about. I don't think that's what she wanted to be called initially, but it doesn't. I mean, you can want to be called whatever you want. It doesn't always end up being that way.
True,
they can come up
true.
with any kind of name to call you.
They sure do.
I was going to say Granny was my second choice after Mrs. Malazzi.
There you go. Yeah, because even my granddaughter, she'll call me Nana, or she'll call me Nana Bear.
Nana Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Well, let's talk about some of the challenges of grandparents. I mean, you can make a list of the pros and cons. I guess on the plus side is like you're still kind of hip and technology and you can kind of hang with the kids,
Yeah,
So
that's all they learn on.
But then on the other side of that coin, like when I was coming up, my grandparents, the grandmothers, none of them worked. They all stayed at home and had plenty of time. So that is definitely a challenge in not only today's environment, but also with being a grandmother younger, is that, you're still in your mid-career. So, you're excited about your work and what you're doing and trying to balance all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So on our second book,
Just happen to have it.
Yeah.
Time with my grand.
Okay.
You'll see they all have, like you see right here's a doctor, flight attendant right here, and you got some entrepreneurs, a student, and right here you have a restaurant owner, and this is an office manager. So that I was very, very conscious of that and really wanted that because that's my reality. It's, I'm still in my career. Still have my day job. So, I wanted to make sure, and that was, the thought I had was that, we never hear in these books about what our grandparents did,
No.
or, that kind of journey up to being that grandparent, right?
Yeah.
We never got to hear that. So that's where I'm starting in this book also to highlight some of that.
Yeah, and I know yours is a little bit different, but, because you're telling the story of the younger grands, and, I think it's kind of like for people like Terry that, once she picked herself up off the floor, this is a good way to kind of indoctrinate into, it's okay. But I think it's also a good point to make is that there are other vehicles out there that it's important, I think, that you take the time to create a book of your grandparents as you go, with the digital phones, with the video on phones. You can, there are some other services out there that are very reasonable that, can publish little books with the pictures. But I think that history is so important because we don't. You
It
just
gets lost.
Yeah, and you don't want to you don't want to ever imagine that you will lose your grandparents, but it's inevitable. And so
Right.
now, once they're gone, that history is gone. About like mine. I wish there's so many more questions I wish I could answer. And
Yes.
it's funny. We lived in a small town, used to be a small town, and my grandmother, they were from like the next town over, a little bitty place. And so I had gone, and when I was in high school, I went to that school for a basketball game. And I came home, I was laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, this gym was so small. Like, it was the cafeteria, and it was the gym, and it was the auditorium, because on one side, like out of bounds was like 2 feet, and then there was a stage, and on the other side was, anyway, I was just yeehawing and going on about this, and she's like, well, they had built this in her time when she played basketball, and she said, well, we thought we were uptown because we had an indoor basketball. She said prior to that, she said we played outside on a dirt court. And
Wow.
anyway, yeah, so just it was kind of cool being
To hear that.
yeah, and being so close. But now that I'm this age, I think, oh my gosh, how many of these stories did I miss out on from both her and my grandfather?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I encourage anyone to definitely take that time to
Yeah.
ask,
Yeah.
And my granddaughter does ask me those questions. Did they have this when you were little? Or, what did you look like when you were little? What did you like to watch? And so when you look at that gap, it's
Yeah.
music, I think, is the thing. So when I have her in the car, I have to try and remember to play what she likes.
Right.
Oh no, make them play. Make them play. You play what you like. So then, 20 years down the road, she'll
Right.
come
Yeah.
across it and
Yeah.
say, "Oh, there's that opera." I used to do that to torture my kids and sing it really loudly. I don't even know what
Right.
it was, but my kids listen to my music. My music is theirs too. I remember,
Yeah.
them growing up. I like some of their stuff too.
Yeah, mine
No,
are
that's true. And I do recall, like, my daughter will say, even my son, like, oh, yeah, I remember we used to listen to this on the way to school.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, my kids are probably more authority on my music than I am. That we made them listen to it so much and try to teach them the history of it. But
Well, and we would sing the garbled lyrics, whereas now they know exactly every word.
Right.
Garbled lyrics is a lost art.
yeah.
That's what I think.
Well, that brings up a good point about I guess the competition for attention, because again, your grandchildren have so much more stimulus. There's so many activities. There's telephones. There's so much TV. I mean, back in my day, cartoons on Saturday morning for a couple hours, and that was really it. And so, there wasn't all of this competition for time and the stimulus. How is that, or if you can even relate to that, how is that different?
So it is different. I'm 51, by the way, so I do.
Yeah.
I relate to a lot of this stuff.
You're still a young whippersnapper.
So, I think it's fun that I will talk to her about the games that I played outside, kick
Yeah.
the can,
Yes.
Red Rover, I talk to her about a lot of that. And so she knows, and I go into explaining about, all of it. So I do talk with her about that. And I do like to do things that are hands-on with her a lot of times. And so whether it's reading or, drawing and things like that, so that it does take away from kind of the technology stuff. I will say, though, Terry, what you will have to do is start to research these new products. They are nothing like what we used before. I'm going to tell you that.
Oh, my
From the car
gosh.
seats and to,
Oh, my God.
taking those car seats, putting them into I will never forget one time. Thankfully, I didn't have her in the stroller yet. I didn't put the lock on. That thing went down the road, and I went to get it. I had to run and get it real quick. Somebody helped.
Oh, my
was it there? I was at
gosh.
my niece's soccer game, and so somebody helped me. And they said, "Oh, is this your first one?" And I thought, "Oh, thank you." No.
No, it's not, but thanks. Oh, we were talking about that yesterday, about the car seat. And Roy's like, yeah, we're going to have to start figuring out how to do the car seat.
Yes.
I didn't even, my oldest, well, she'll be 30 in March. But I had her car seat in the front seat facing backwards. Well, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have car seats when we were young. It was like, throw you in the back seat and punt,
Well, and you could ride up on the...
4 of us were in the back seat.
Yeah.
the old timey cars, there was like the deck. There's a back seat in the deck, and then the window, and you could actually kind of slide up in there in that little groove and ride around, and nobody thought twice about it. And now,
Right.
it's great. There's some, because I'll tell you what, somebody hit the brakes and you come flying off of that and crash into the back
Right.
seat. But there's so much, and it's funny because I guess my mother was at Costco the other day, and she already bought the first box of diapers.
Oh my gosh, I was bawling.
I told her, I said, we need to start accumulating these diapers because you know how fast they go
Yes.
through them.
A huge box of diapers she brought. It just brought tears to my. I'm like, oh my God, it's real.
It's happening. It's happening. I just remember too with diapers. Oh my goodness! After my last pack, I felt so celebratory. Like I didn't have to buy another pack of
You're
diapers.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's at the. I won't say this about grandkids because they're really not on your payroll, but that's like when you have kids, they say the 2 best days of kids are the day that they're born and then the day you get them off your payrolls.
Yeah, I think you can't help yourself sometimes. I think, and that is another thing. I had to really learn the boundary.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it was overbuying or I had to, even with, let's say, like with the I think the beginning of the year when we President Biden and Kamala Harris, I wanted to explain to her that this is the first female vice president, and then I looked over at my daughter and she's like, I haven't told her that, and I thought, okay, this was another lesson. I have to restrain myself.
Yeah.
So there's that. You have
to find the rules. I mean,
Yes.
there really can't be rules. It just kind of has to be a guideline thing. But I still have that with my mom. It's like, and my with my mom and with my sister and her kids. And mom tells me, "Oh my gosh, I wasn't supposed to say this." Well, Well, no, you're supposed to observe. You're the grandparent. You're the fun one. Quit it.
Yeah. See that?
right.
It's hard.
I got that straight right from the beginning because I had a friend of mine was a little older, and if you can believe this, his kids actually made like a little book for, I guess the grandpa playbook of things that what they could do, I am not kidding you.
Wow.
3-ring binder with all, and when my kids got pregnant, I said, look, there's no rules. I'm going to spoil these kids, and then I'm going to bring them back, and I'm going to let you deal with the homework
after they
and
eat all
the
sugar.
rules and regulations. And one of the pinnacle of grandparenting is I went and got there one of the little girls, and then there were 2 friends, and we went and had pizza. We went to the Five Below, and so it's about 9:00, and we're going home, and one of them needs to go to the bathroom. We pull over at the convenience store, and one of the non-grandkids was like, "Oh, can we have a soda?" I'm like, heck yeah, I'll get you a soda. I said, get a Big Red and get a couple candy bars.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
they were so loaded up by the time I got them home, and I said, I am out of here. Y'all can deal with them.
Did they let you see them again?
Yeah. But that's the fun about being a grandparent is, really no rules.
It's a rite of passage. Isn't there
really
a rite
is.
of passage?
Yeah. You're going to find that you light up when you just hear them. And it's an exciting time, I have to tell you. I look forward to my visits. I'll actually be going there in a week. I'll be heading out there, and I'm excited. I get to watch her. She ice skates, and so
nice.
I get to watch her in competition. My very first time seeing her, I would always see it when my daughter would record it, right?
Right.
But my very first time being there
Oh my
last year, I went to go watch her.
How fun.
I just started crying. As soon as she came out off the thing, for some reason, that ice rink seemed so big compared to my little granddaughter coming on there. And I was just so proud of her.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't. I can, but I can't.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
It'll be fun.
I think so.
What I was gonna ask too is how long does it take you to produce one of these books?
Okay, so we published one the first book in December of 2020, right? Well, 7 months later, we published the second book.
Okay.
But it's a little unique in the sense that we had so much passion towards this project.
Yeah.
This was all one book. We had to split it into two.
Oh, okay.
And so we had to, and then, format it a little differently. So we actually had started on book 3 because we didn't realize book 1 was 2,
Yeah.
1 and 2. And so it's been a little different, I think. So the first one, I'd say probably 6 months of the writing where we're, okay, this is it. This is good. We got it. And then getting with the illustrator, I don't know, that felt like it took a year for just because the first book, we had to get the characters. We had to set them first.
Yeah.
So it was easy to transition into book 2. So we'll see. I think book 3 will be our true, identifier of how long, but it was, I'd say 7 months to a year, depending on, what it is and how you're creating it.
Yeah.
And is it a full picture book? I mean, there are words.
It is.
I mean, it's not just the illustrations.
Yeah. So let me give you here's our dedication. We have these hummingbirds that we have throughout the book, and it's kind of something fun for the kids to count how many, hummingbirds there are.
Find them. Okay.
You can see, so here's the characters. And so, it's a complete picture book.
Oh, that's awesome.
And another thing that we did, and this is probably from my experience, with my day job, is I wanted to have a lot of questions in it because I wanted it to be an experience, right? So I have questions in it so that you can interact with each other. It's like, what do you call your grandma? Who do you like to spend time with, or some of the questions. And so that it just gets that, relationship there to build that. So that's my hope too, is that they're, engaging while they're in this book. And then at the last page here, we added here is so what do you appreciate about your grand? And then we have the children, right in there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that's what, my granddaughter, I have one with hers in it. I think. Let me see. So I have this. You can see this. So she wrote here, she likes playtime with me.
Oh, right.
And she
Nice.
did that. So, my daughter actually told me, she's like, the book that Charlotte wrote in, it's not here. And I said, no, because that was my book. I had to write that for me.
Yeah. That's an
mine.
awesome idea to put, because as you release these out in time, then there'll be, I guess they'll be at different stages in their life and be able to take, I'd say taking notes, but they'll be able to, write down their thoughts and memories at that point in time, which over, 5 or 6 years may change a lot. That's pretty cool.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
And a picture.
And we did that in book 2.
Yeah.
We
did that in book 2 also. So that's kind of a staple of what we're looking to do. Is to keep that in there.
So are there some things like that? Of course, since 1 and 2 were basically written together, is like when you started on 3, are there other adjustments that you felt like you needed to make, or is it pretty much the same format?
We actually made some adjustments in 2, even,
okay.
in our formatting a little bit. But in 3, yes, I think that we're learning as we go on, kind of the structure.
Yeah.
I think I'd say the writing structure is what we're learning, that to kind of keep a staple, but we're growing. I think you can see, hopefully, within the writing.
Yeah. So how do you have like a whole topic list that you've already got written down?
We do. So there's the third one is actually about vacations. So
okay, cool.
Imagine we have 6 characters, so there's different vacations. And we want to introduce other, so in book 2, you start to see, a couple of grandfathers in there as well. So we want to introduce, them as great grandparents also. So we want to definitely, in our series, we have, a lot of opportunity for this series to touch on a lot of things. And one thing I do want to, even though, a lot of books talk about, illnesses or death, I do want to touch on it. But what I learned with my own mother is she had cancer for 10 years. And, she had a few years before that, and then it came back for 10 years. But what I learned through this is that she was living with it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much about her dying over these 10 years. It was really living with it. And we got to see how she, so those are some of the things that we want to talk about, because there's so many, we can talk about, diabetes, stroke, those that have overcome that, because there's actually one of the characters in the Grands is a stroke survivor. So so there's different things that I do want to talk to, but I want to make it so that it's something that people are living with, because it's natural and it's in their children's, grandchildren's daily lives of how they interact with them.
No, that's a good viewpoint to put it in. And if you decide to do traumatized granny, maybe you could do. Terry could help you with that. With
the poster child,
hair sticking straight out, like
seriously. Well, talk to me now. Talk to me at the end of January. That's
right. I'm looking forward to it. I said we got to make.
Oh, he's so excited.
We got to make space over here so we can get that baby a bed to sleep in.
We're building a new room.
Yeah, I'm gonna set up. I want to set up a zip.
You have an Aquarius baby coming.
I want to set up a little zip line out off the back deck that she can zip line down. And anyway, I've got it all figured out. We're going to have a lot of fun. I can't wait.
You are. I love that.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us for sure. Any other last minute advice you want to throw out there for grannies or grannies to be?
Or nanas.
Or nanas, yeah. I'd say that just you being you is what you're offering. And that's what, makes that experience for the grandchild to be so excited to spend time with you and, want to see you. So just be you.
That's good advice.
Yes, it is.
So is there something that you do during your daily life? Is there a habit or an app or a tool, something that you use that really adds a lot of value to your day?
An app or something that I use, I'd have to say with my job, they're so interactive with us that we have different health and wellness coaches. So there's some different things, like you have an opportunity to do a stretch throughout the day, or you have an opportunity to do meditation.
Oh,
I'm often in the mornings. I'm trying to get better at this. It really, showing gratitude to things and opening my day so that it can set that basis of, the rest of my day, the foundation for my day.
That's a huge theme from a lot of our speakers, is just being grateful. And speaking of that, we started doing, I've done a couple of these. It's called laughter yoga online. Oh my gosh, so fun. And it's not, it's not a bunch of yoga. It's mostly about laughter. And you kind of go into it thinking, oh my gosh, these guys are all crazy because they're just going, and then everybody hears everybody else and all their different laughters. And that just is contagious, and it just keeps going. And it really helps start your day. So check out laughter yoga. It's awesome. That was one of the things recently last week that somebody touched on for one of the wellness things, but I didn't get to. So it is on my list to try. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is
Kathy Nesbitt is her name.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just spoke to her.
We've had her on before, and but she was going over a little more in depth, like like tracing your fingers and like I don't remember breathing in on one, laughing on the. It's a whole thing. And it's funny.
She touches upon the meridians and all of that stuff too, but
Terry tried it one day, and she was over across the room, and I was working, and I started hearing all this laughing and carrying on, and I started laughing at my desk. I wasn't even participating. I started laughing. I had to get up and go check it out. So yeah,
and he has a great laugh, a great belly laugh. I mean, when he laughs from his belly, it is something. God. So that just started a whole nother thing.
Yeah. That was contagious. Yeah.
It's fun.
I love that. Yeah, no, I'm really interested in checking that out.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. So tell everybody again, what is the name of the series of the books, where they can reach out and get them, and if somebody wanted to make contact with you, how could they do that?
Yeah, thank you. So The Grands, the Modern-Day Grandparent is our series, and The Grands, the Race is book 1. And then we have Time with My Grand is book 2, and they both can be found on Amazon. And actually, the first book can actually be found wherever books are sold online right now. So
awesome! We're so happy for you. That's great.
You can follow us on Instagram at The Grands MDG. And I actually do have, I think, a video there of me having the wig and pulling that off.
Yeah, so I did see that. That's cute.
I'm going to have to check that out. I missed that.
Yeah, and then the Facebook page is The Grands Modern-Day Grandparent.
Okay. Awesome. Well, y'all go check it out. It's an awesome book. I've just been thumbing through it here, all the pictures, and the pic. And I think that's the most interesting part of this is that these are representative of the women that you actually see out in the community. They're all young. They're going, to this race, and then the grandkids are there holding up signs, cheering them on. So I think that's awesome to, give a new perspective. And, it's very timely for Terry. We're going to get her to read it so she can get through this rough time in her life, and we can get to the fun part.
Yes.
All
It'll
right.
be good. Thanks, Suzette. It's been great.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Educational. Of course, I'm Roy.
I'm Terry.
You can find us at www.educational.com. We're on all the major podcast platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Spotify. If we're not on one that you listen to, please reach out. We'd be glad to add it, make your listening easier. Also, we're on all the major social media platforms. Probably hang out a little bit more on Instagram, so get over there, interact with us. We'd love to hear from you. Also, a video of this interview will go up on our YouTube channel. Go over there and check out all of our past episodes as well. So until next time, take care of yourself and take care of your health.